So a couple things. In class today, we started talking about the synthesis unit and that type of an essay. You should have this slide deck. I will include it on the post on Google Classroom so that you can go back and review the slides. We pretty much, though, went right into this 6 things activity, which is what I want to review with you so we all know. The first part of the activity was sitting by ourselves, and I set the timer for 6 minutes, and basically everybody had 6 minutes to get as much information as they could out of these 6 sources. So even though it says to read the 6 sources, you really don't have time for that, right? It's just taking in information. So if you have not yet done that, please just pause this video and take 6 minutes on your clock to go through each of these sources, or see as far as you can get, right? And then if you want to record notes below, you can in the box. If not, just record them mentally in your head and then join us after you're done. Okay, so now you're back, and what we're going to talk about is how do you possibly read 6 different sources in 6 minutes? And that question came up in the chat with people, and people were saying, right? I mean, they don't. You don't read those sources. You skim them, and you skim them looking for title, subtitle, words in bold, first paragraph, last paragraph, quotes that are pulled out, key words that are repeated, or synonyms of those key ideas that are repeated from the title in the text. So you can kind of like scan and do a trace through. Graphs, you're looking at the X and Y axis, you're looking at what is being compared, and the numbers and the trends and the patterns and the titles again, the labels, to really discern, like if you just had 6 minutes and this was a game, or you were a detective and this is what you could find, what could you discern from those 6 sources in 6 minutes? Part of it is reading for text structure. So what kind of a text is it? You will get 2 visuals on the exam. So you could get a graph and a cartoon, or a picture and something else. So that was that goal. Then you're going to go into your small group. So if you weren't here, you could do this on your own. We're not really going to have a ton of time on Thursday to get back into this. First step here is reading the prompt, and here is the prompt. And without me reading it right now, I can tell you that I know it's about eviction because I'm doing a high level scan, and they're always going to start a prompt with background, definition and explanation, and that's super helpful for you to get a sense of what is the topic, and sort of if there's a specific side, where do they fall? So this is about eviction. Then they set up kind of like the problem, right? So the problem is that, people argue that they don't argue that it's an epidemic, but people argue about the root cause and the solutions. So your actual writing task comes at the very end. Develop your position on the most important factors a community should consider when presenting on eviction and affordable housing at the next town hall. So that's confusing, right? So I said to people, like, pretend that we're all in the mayor's office of city affairs. And I say, okay, tomorrow we have a presentation to the town at a town hall meeting, but we only really have 3 slides that we have in the space of the presentation. So I want everybody to go into their mini teams, into their offices, and I want you to each come up with 3 slides that give your 3 reasons, that like the 3 most important reasons that you believe can communicate or should be communicated when thinking about eviction and the housing crisis. Okay, and with each of those 3 slides, you want to have 1 piece of evidence, take the evidence from 3 sources, and then we'll choose which 3 slides gets into the presentation. So it's sort of an authentic writing because they give you the scenario that you're writing for. I think because I only gave 10 minutes, some people really felt like I'm not quite sure, I can't make a decision. So the hack or the trick that I am presenting or suggesting that you use is that you not be stressed or concerned or kind of like overthinking the most important factors, but that you just, if I were to say to you, okay, what 3 things come to your mind when you hear housing crisis, when you hear eviction? Okay, so you might say family impact. I'm like, okay, is that impact positive, negative? Well, this is acknowledging that there's, that evictions take place and there's a housing crisis. So you're going to say it's negative. All right. So 1, negative family impact. What's another thing you think of right away when I say affordable housing crisis or eviction? Unfair treatment based on income. All right. Income inequality, unfair. Okay. Second idea that you're going to go with. Third, what's the other thing you think about when I say housing crisis, housing epidemic? Maybe you're going to say, racist practices in rent increases, or rent inequality. So whatever 3 things, 3 universal ideas that you come up with first are the ones that you are going to spin as the most important. So that is a hack. It is a trick, but it does save time because oftentimes we really get hung up in, is it really important? Like, what is the most important? And instead, I want you to just think, what are the first 3 that come to your mind? And then it becomes your job to prove them, and you kind of need to spin it or BS it and make it work. So that is the first hack. Don't stress about the 3. And the second thing you want to do, you want to find one piece of evidence for each of your 3 ideas, right? So what I would do is just choose 3 sources. Like, you've done the overview, you kind of know what the sources are. Now you're just going to get in and really take like this one, make it work for you. So take something, this one is a graph, so that's not the best example, but like, let's say you go to a text, really pull, like scan it for what your position is. Your position is that families are negatively impacted. Give me a real quick 4 words, 6 words that you can pull as a mini quote and put it right up there on the slide. So this activity is not asking for you to build analysis or reasoning. It's just find a slice from one of these 3 articles and put it to the one universal idea or one idea-based claim that you can think of, and then repeat that 2 more times. So the other trick to this is that don't start with the thesis statement. I do say here, you should have a thesis statement. Go backwards and back up into the thesis and then make your thesis statement from your 3 ideas. Always in a synthesis essay, you're going to start your thesis with a counter argument. So you're going to start it with the opposition, beginning with the word while or although. Very similar to it is a counter rebuttal, really, from the debate. But you're going to start with the other side with the word while, and then you're going to follow with your own position, and that's your thesis. But I'm just saying, like, go back to whoever is texting me has sent me, like, I never get texts, and all of a sudden I'm making this video and I get like 20 different texts. So sorry about that. I'm just a little, so back up into the thesis from what you've written in your ideas, and that's it. And I think there are some really important lessons that we're now going to take from this activity as the foundational pieces to writing our synthesis essay, which is the first essay on the exam. So it is important that if you were not in class, that you still jump into this assignment and do it. I want your brain to feel like what it feels like to do something that seems impossible in a short amount of time and begin to understand the dynamics of this essay, which really contain not only coming up with a position, so you're really going to go out and defend that idea or that position, but that you're going to be able to pull these little pieces from the text and back them up for your position statement. All right, have fun.